Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Out. My name's Charles McGilvray, and as always, I'm joined by Jess Cabot and Simon Stacey. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints. Before we get going, just a reminder to please follow us on social media and subscribe on whatever platform you get your podcasts from to get our content as soon as we release it. Anyway, on to better things. How are you both doing? Did you get up to much this weekend?
No, it's a bit quiet, really, mate.
Just stayed at home.
Yeah, mental.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I mean,
mental.
For a podcast, I don't want to say I'm lost for words, but it's one of those ones, isn't it, whereby, the feeling of being, three-time league winners now is starting to sink in. It's a big thing for a club of Northampton scale.
Exactly that, mate. And we also didn't do it the easy way like 2 years ago. It's probably one of our worst. Well, I haven't rewatched it yet, but it didn't seem to be a very good performance because Exeter defended so well and stopped us playing our normal game. But yeah, it was mad. I was sat the Exeter end as well. I literally lost my voice. It was just me and this other guy just constantly shouting "Shoe Army." So I couldn't talk when I got back, which is probably a blessing for some people. But yeah, it was mental just to win it again and send Ferbs off with that trophy. It's just special.
Yeah. Oh, what a crazy day. Crazy day. It's crazy to think that like this podcast is not even that old. Like if you think about it, this is the second one of these we're doing. Like we're getting on the thing of like we're gonna start expecting it too much, aren't we? But yeah,
Exactly.
no, it was
three major finals in 3 years.
Yeah, 3 major finals in 3 years. Like, and even just thinking about the Prem final, that's like our fourth appearance in a Prem final and third win. Like, it's a crazy conversion rate when you think about it, because like anything can happen in finals. Like, sometimes it's like you said, like the performance I don't think was that amazing. It was a bit similar to 2 years ago when Courtney Dawes afterwards was like, I don't know whether to be happy or annoyed because it wasn't a great performance that they put in. But it really does show that like league kind of stuff can go out the window when you get to that level. But I mean, a 9-point swing feels comfortable-ish, I suppose, at the end of it. Like it certainly wasn't winning in the last second against Bath, or like holding on to that against Bath. But yeah, they do like to put us through the ringer, eh? But I don't think you'd have it any other way when you come home, like you said, champions for the third time.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I think you both covered it there almost in the sense of like we don't play well in finals now. That's that seems to be the consistent rule, is don't expect a good performance. But then also very much like Laws a few years ago, Ferbs this year said, like he didn't seem to be happy, or sort of said the same thing. I wasn't sure whether it was happy because the performance wasn't what we what we want it to be. But I think, as Sai said there, I think an enormous amount of credit has to go to Chiefs and the game plan that they came with. You've got two really distinct and different ways of approaching a game of rugby, right? And Saints don't put huge emphasis on thinking about the opposition. It's all about themselves and getting their performance on the pitch. Whereas Chiefs obviously spent a huge amount of time focusing on how do we go about stopping Saints play, and were very effective at doing so. The going hard at the breakdown, they nicked that from Leinster. And then the sort of rush express defense from out to inward, trying to stop us getting finding those edges, which they did an awful lot. Was also really struggled. We didn't find the edge that much, and that's all goes down to not necessarily skills, but their defense, their pressure. Saints look to move the ball to space. That's their game plan. Play at pace, move the ball to space, find the edge. Exeter just look to apply pressure. That and you hear it in Baxter, don't you? When he says stuff, it's like, how do we apply pressure? And they're a very well coached side, and they warrant the success they had getting to the final. But I think man for man, team for team, we were the better side, and we deservedly won that title.
Oh God, yeah. Over the season, I think it's not a cocky thing. I think this is the most we've ever deserved to win it, because we've been the best team by a country mile, and we've played the best rugby I think we've ever played. And to not win that final would have been an absolute travesty. But it's never a given. That final levels everybody, doesn't it? You could have like somebody that's not played well for ages, but it's a final, so the nerves kick in. There's 80 odd thousand there. It's totally different level to 15. 15,000 is amazing, but playing at Twickenham on that massive pitch. And you could see as well, because Exeter defended a lot, you could see the last 20, I'd say, they did tire. That's why we got gaps, and that's Hendy scored those 2 tries, didn't he? And but they did their job. And like you said, Rob Baxter has got to be up there as one of the best coaches in the league, hasn't he? Because he's a very humble man. You heard that interview after the game. So fair play to him. Best team in the league, and we were just cut short. But like, if you look at it, we were 8th, they were 9th, and I think I read that's the first time the finals ever been where there's not been 2 teams in the semi-final the previous year, ever. So it's some achievement for both sides. Really. I know we focused on Europe and we got to the European final, but our league form was awful. So it's probably a bigger turnaround for them than it is us, because we probably expected to be there. But yeah, it was just, I was a bit nervous, but I knew we had it in us. Like, I don't know, if we played Bath, I would have been a bit more worried. Do you know what I mean? I'm not being cocky, but I just thought we can play if we need to and score this. But they put us through it again. It was not convincing, was it? 9 points, I know, but it wasn't. We were never going, oh, we've easily won this now. Never.
Nah, I
Not
think
until Henry scored his second. Then I was like, right, I think we're safe now.
I think going into it, I was probably worried how confident I was that we'd win, and then we started well, and it just sort of my confidence just sort of grew. But as you said there, I think if we were playing Bath, I would have been probably more worried or more not as confident, even though Exeter beat Bath and beat Bath fair and square and well, right? But then again, if we were playing Tigers, I would have just assumed we were going to lose. So, like it's just
the worst.
it's
That would have been
it
the
is.
worst.
But you mentioned it there, right? The two Hendy tries. So let's just jump straight into talking about the game then, because I mean the reality is I think there was a massive swing in the game based on the 2 yellow cards and the timing in which they were given. And the stat where we're one of the best teams at playing against 14 men, and Chiefs are one of the worst. And so I think, I think, first of all, let's get it out of the way, right? I'm not sure I'll ever be Carly's biggest fan, and I think you can go back and look at that. I honestly think, I don't agree with every decision he made, but I thought that this performance was more than fair enough. And he was consistent across the big decisions. I think you could argue that neither of the yellows were yellows at all, but he was consistent in his application and gave both yellows. So okay, that's fair. You can't ask for anything more. I think there was a shot on Hendy, by the way, that is a clear red, and no one even looked at it. But anyway, that's a completely different. But the thing is that so we had the yellow card go off, and we managed to win that moment and put territory on them. So they were actually a man up in their own 22. They then lose the player from a yellow card, and so it's 14 on 14. And then we swing back to we've got the extra man, and then we score those 2 tries and really nail home the win, because we were actually losing at that point. So like the timings of those yellow card and how the game went through that sort of 15-minute spell of the 2 yellows decided the game. Those yellows, right or wrong, they influenced the game massively.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and I have to agree. I don't not say humble pie, because I'm probably in the same gang as you. I cannot stand him. I don't think he did bad job. I think maybe the farewell he got at the Gardens of that massive rockers booing. Maybe he thought, hang on, I'll be a bit more. Oh, he's probably trying to get his place in the World Cup next year. So he's got to actually on the big stage actually ref fairly, because
maybe it's just the occasion meant he didn't necessarily feel confident to make some of the brash decisions he normally makes, and sort of brought just a bit more of a steady Eddie approach from him, and then probably got the best out of him, if anything. There were obviously decisions he got wrong, right? But that's every game.
Yeah, of course. But you're going to get that, are you? But it didn't help that Tempest was a TMO as well, wasn't it? You know what I mean? But anyway, we move on from that.
They were both fine. Like I agree. Like I don't think either is yellow. Like they were talking about, because for them to be yellow means that you have to start at the red card level to mitigate it down, and I don't think either of them should ever have started at a red card level. Like there was clear, like I think both of them had like 2 or 3 different mitigating circumstances that I think even the commentators were like, for Kemeny, they were like, that should have been a penalty, and then for the next one they said so should this, but he has to give a yellow card because he's given. Like I said, that's all you really ask for, consistency, right? Like we've talked before, it's all about interpretation. He interpreted them both. He interpreted them both as yellow cards, and as long as he interprets them both in the same sort of fashion, because they're basically pretty much the exact same tackle, like almost bit for bit, right? Like it's funny for Dafford Jenkins, because Dafford Jenkins, bless him, gets the high tackle on him, scores the try, then gives the yellow card away. So Dafford Jenkins was sort of involved in sort of all of that in two different ways. But yeah, I think that was my worry when I saw the Dafford Jenkins one that he committed. I thought if he doesn't give a yellow for this, I'm going to be so annoyed, because it's the same as Kevin. Like, I would say that literally pretty much the exact same thing with the exact same mitigating circumstances, essentially. So yeah, all you really ask for is consistency, and he was consistent. And then I think you're right. I think the fact that we got the yellow card the yellow card first worked in our favour. The fact that Exeter got it second, because I think, like I said, we bore out their sort of our yellow card period quite well. So then when they got the yellow card, I think it really did just kind of, like I said, spur them on to keep going. But yeah, George Hendy, man, he's just a big game player, isn't he?
He's big game Hendy. That's his name. Big game Hendy.
It's insanity that he's done that, like 2 finals in a row. Like, I don't want to. We'll come on to other players. I don't want to take away from like Finn Smith's just like pitch perfect kick through for Hendy's second. But yeah, that guy is he's just where he needs to be when he needs to be, and it tends to be in the big fixtures exactly when you need him. And to be honest, I actually thought he had a decent game all round. Like we've talked before about, I don't know, Charles, you're not a fan of and neither am I, to be fair, about the tactic of slapping the ball back rather than trying to catch it. But he had a few successful sort of goes at that got us the ball back. So can't really complain. Yeah, can't really complain. There was one that just he slapped back perfectly into Pollock's hands and off Pollock went. So you can't really, I think he had a pretty decent game all round. And yeah, but yeah, he's just a big game guy, isn't he, really? And I know the discussion was, is it Ram or Hendy? And there was some sort of sadness that Ram didn't get to kind of cap it off with playing, but it's really hard to argue against it when Hendy's got you 2 tries. And like I'm the same as Simon. When we scored that second try and we had 8 or so minutes left to go, I felt like it was done at that point. And then we had that 70, I think it was like 71 to 76, like 5-minute defensive set, which is like one of the best defensive sets I've seen us done all year. Like they really got it together for that. And like when there was sort of like 2.5-3 minutes left when they got the penalty, wasn't it? I was like, there's no way. I just couldn't see a way they were going to get the 2 scores they needed in that time period. So yeah, big game guys, Hendy, and fully deserves sort of the plaudits for what he did on both Bath against Bath and now against Chiefs.
It's moments, isn't it? It's moments when he comes alive, like, and that's what we said last week around him v Ram. Like, I think in terms of just solidness, and sort of bit of reliability, Ram is probably above in that instance. But those big moments in the game, Hendy time and time again delivers and does something special, and has got a bit of X factor. And his finish for the try, where not the one where it's kicked through, when he had
the first
maybe
one,
maybe half a foot to work in, and he managed to get it down. World class finish at the right minute, right time. He delivered. So glad for him, because the last probably month or so, I reckon he's been a bit rough in terms of he's had moments in games where he hasn't been able to influence it as we know he can, and then moments in games which just haven't gone his way. And so then to get the 2 win, basically the winning tries in the final, I couldn't be happier for him to have done that, because it's the man just he dominates Prem finals, doesn't he?
Yeah, you have to feel for Rami though, because from memory, I don't think he played in the 24. He played about 2 minutes in the European final, and he didn't even get in the 23 in this final. You just think, how much luck does that man need just to play in the final? Bless him. But yeah, so wish him well in Australia, and hope he gets in the Aussie squad, because he is a quality boy and he'll be missed, same as Ferbs. But yeah, Hendy is a different level of. He's just a different type of player, isn't he? I don't think anyone's got a Hendy. He's just something he does, and we've always mentioned his legs loads of times. His legs bend in different ways, and like you say, he's such a big bloke. He doesn't look it, but he bounces off people, and God knows what the what they called assistant referee didn't see. I had the ref link on, and he said, "Oh, I didn't see a touchdown." I was like, "How can you?" I was the opposite end of the stadium, and I could see a touchdown. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why he wasn't looking, but hey, we got. I just didn't want him to give us.
Yeah, no. The great thing about the first try is that he said he was working in like next to no space, but like not only is he in field for the try, he's like probably in rugby terms significantly in,
Yeah.
because like how close that can be sometimes to people, but there's like clear grass between sort of him and in the touchline. So to work in that level of space, but also be actually nowhere near being out at any point. And then yeah, the second one just to, you know, we've talked about it before. Like Finn seems to just have a connection with everybody. To be fair, on the pitch, you can set up magic for anyone. To be honest. And yeah, like I said, they were. I think that that 2 minute period, with the two try periods already scored them both. That really was, like you said, like the defining sort of bit of the match, because it was, like I said, we were losing with 15 minutes to go, and it just completely flipped that on its head. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a shame for Ram, but I think you've got to say they made the right call, and I didn't think they were going to. Other than obviously Mitch coming onto the bench, I'd have been surprised if they'd actually made any changes from the semi-final to the final. I felt fairly solid that they'd probably go for the same like team and the same bench split.
Do we not?
Um,
Do we not need to give kudos to Mitchell though? Like, considering he was supposed
Definitely.
to be out
Yeah.
for 6 months and he had to play 70 minutes with
6
what
weeks.
was
yeah,
that?
crazy.
Was it?
He
6
wasn't out for
weeks,
6
he's been out
months,
for
6
6
weeks.
Six.
Oh no, sorry, I meant 6 weeks. Sorry, yeah. And he's come back and he had to play 70 minutes of like quick pace rugby on one of the biggest pitches I've ever played on, and he showed up and he did what he had to, didn't he? I wouldn't have I would have trusted him, but I would not have want to put that pressure on Wyman. Bless him, 70 minutes in the final. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
just
that's why. I think that's why they went for Mitch. Right? They said he came back sort of a couple of weeks earlier than they probably expected him to. And like I said, it is nothing against Wyman, but yeah, you're risking it two ways, because you're risking you don't know what form Mitch is going to be in. Because I had argued, I think even before he got injured, I don't think his form was quite where it had been. So I felt like it wasn't just an injury question; it was a form question also. But yeah, to give the man his plaudits, like I think Ferbs said in the interview after, or was it Smith, who said he was only supposed to come on and do like the last 20 essentially, and ended up doing 70. And I actually think he was bang on form. I actually thought it was like a really good performance on top of coming back from injury. So yeah, absolutely, but fair play to him. And yeah, it's obviously a shame for Archie, because I think he's been playing so well, and I've loved him to have been able to play more in that final. But oh, that gash on his knee was disgusting. So I understand why he wasn't able to carry on, and it's a shame. But yeah, he did. Yeah, that's 70. He was, yeah, like I said, he showed up for 70 minutes and certainly didn't look like he'd pulled a hammy and had been gone for 6 weeks. To be fair.
yeah, the ability just to come straight in and deliver a pretty solid performance that doesn't
Yeah.
even looks like you haven't been away. I mean, is it prime Mitchell when he's sniping and flying and whatever? No, but it was more than good enough to get the best out of the team, and that's
Yeah.
the sort of foundation of the role. Like you said, a real shame, because Archie was obviously set up the first try with a bit of luck, and he was
Yeah.
has been on form so much and plays at such pace that in that he could have been a real factor in that game if he'd have played, because he could have kept that tempo, and that could have made it slightly more in our favour still as well. But we haven't half got a couple of good nines.
Yeah.
There's some serious talent there.
more than a couple, I'd say, because Wyman's pretty decent as well, isn't he? But he's still
Yeah,
young.
he looks like a really, really good prospect.
But-
Yeah, like I said, we're lucky. We're lucky to have the England nine and probably the best up and coming prospect nine out, across the league. Like it's a crazy, crazy position to be in.
Oh,
But yeah, I think like
Sonny
they
Good
were,
coming through as well.
yeah,
Is he-
yeah. So it's
I'm guessing they just didn't want to take him with England, or is his knee that I saw the gash? But surely, if a stitch is in a week, that'd be healed, wouldn't it?
No idea. Like
I don't know, but
yeah.
I don't know if
he
it's not
did-
included because of the knee. That's what I was thinking, because it was.
I'm not sure. Very
horrific.
possibly, because I think that stud has gone practically down to the bone by the looks of it. Like,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hole is significantly deep, and it's a very, very big. And after the match, he was in like full wrapping, like really strong, heavy wrapping around the whole knee. So I can't imagine him being ready to go on. I think July 4th would be the first game, right? And they already want to get them up in camp, so it may just be a timing thing. Maybe they're not interested in him. I don't know. But yeah, I'd have to say the knee's probably a decent factor in that. But yeah, good on. Like I said, it wasn't vintage Mitch, but it didn't need to be. At the end of the day, like And he showed up, like I said, for 70 minutes, having not played, and we seem to have this weird thing at the moment, don't we, where it's like we said the same with like Furbs as well, like and Colsey, they can just drop back in and it's like they've never left, and yet theoretically they shouldn't be match fit, and yet they certainly seem to be. And it felt like the flip to like, and not to single out an extra player, but it was felt like that Feo Barbosa had come back from an injury thing with the jaw, and he didn't quite seem at the level that he would normally be. He was all right in some areas. Obviously, he made that really big blunder in the first couple of minutes, which didn't help him running smack into Woodburn, who already had his hands on the ball. Some miscommunication there, but
That's
yeah,
just
but
partly what Feabo's game though, isn't it? Like Feabos is a bit like a
yeah,
flanker on the wing, like unbelievably ball,
yeah,
like unbelievably in so many ways, and great open play, great run of the rugby ball. But there's also elements and great defensive play as well. But there's also like foundational elements like catching where he's not potentially as strong as say Tommy or
yeah,
something. Yeah. Like we're
yeah,
holding him to a high standard because he's an international, but like
international, yeah, exactly, yeah,
there's certain elements to his game where well yeah, like you'd think an international winger would just pluck that ball out of the air and score a try, but sometimes it's sort of he's flapping at it a bit. But yeah,
yeah.
not criticizing a player. It's just he's
Oh
probably
no, it's
sometimes some of those
yeah.
bits where you think oh he's not at his top form. It's also like well that's actually just sometimes that's just how he is. That's his game. Yeah.
Also, it's got to be in the back of his mind a little bit that I think it was a broken jaw, right? That have a plate in to fix it, right? There's got to be a bit in the back of his mind that's like, I really don't want anything to happen because
Yeah.
those big international fixtures are coming. So there's probably a bit of him that's just like, please don't get hit in the jaw, like not today. So and sometimes I think you mentioned, but I think it was not on the podcast, but we were talking before about Furbs, like when he'd had that thing with his eye, and he would try and you know when he was like getting involved defensively or whatever, he would twist his body in such a way so that he could keep people away from it. And there's probably an element of that as well when you've had, like I said, like a plate put into your face. It's probably a scary prospect of like, yes, they've passed me through the fitness checks, but and we know this from Furbs with his arm. He came back for one fixture and sort of screwed it up again for a longer period of time. So that's probably always sort of in the back of people's minds. But I mean, other than that, I mean, yeah, they did show up. Like, I think I'd say, like, if I had to be honest, we were probably like a 7 out of 10, and they were probably a 6, and that's the difference. Like, I felt like that was the same with Tigers. It was like I'd have said we were maybe like 9 out of 10, and Tigers were 8. Like, I feel like there's such close margins between the two of them, and I
Yeah.
said before, like, it's like a great equalizer, isn't it? A final, like on paper, we were, I think, Exeter were 3-1 to win, right? And on paper, we were like overwhelming favourites. But I honestly feel like sometimes when you get to a final, that just means nothing. Like on the day, it really can sometimes mean, at least in Saints' perspective, in the finals they've been in.
I think there's sort of nuances to that a bit, like in the sense if you're putting
Yeah,
scores on things, because I think like our attack was probably a 7, right, and they're on our standard, and their
yeah,
defense was probably like a 10, and what that evened out to was like something in between. But
yeah,
then if you put that the other way, our defense was probably from our standard, an 8, but
yeah.
their attack they don't really have one. Other
No,
than Varney kicking and getting some into position and putting on pressure, they don't really have one. So that long spell, which I think was the foundation of winning the game, that
yeah,
last 10 minutes where it was endless phases from them and they didn't go anywhere. It was just left, right, left, right, left, right, going absolutely nowhere, which is a foundation of how they've played for a long time. That's year old Exeter. They've always done that, right? So it's just a case of they're almost there because the defense is really good and there's a lot of talent in the squad, and some of it's leaving, so we'll see how they play. But they're attacking. They still need to elevate their attacking game if they're going to be
mm,
champions of England. I think that's the reality of it. I think it always used to be if you win the territory game with Chiefs, you sort of win the game because they need to be regularly getting into your 22 to score.
yeah,
You keep them out of your 22, they generally don't have much chance. They've obviously gone with, they've got Brown Bampo and Feabosa on the wing, they've got a bit of electric. So if you muck up
yeah,
your
yeah.
territory game, they can counter. But otherwise, they haven't really got the shapes of attack to worry teams. And they're that's the thing. I think if their attack had been 20% better, they could have probably won that based on the strength of their defense. But the problem is their attack was just not good enough that we could just close them down and
Yeah,
nullify them.
I did think that Riddle had a good game as well, though, on the other one.
Riddle did. Yeah, I was going to say.
I disagree.
Did you not?
I think he did. Yeah, I think he had a good game. I think defensively, I think he had a really strong game. I mean, to get Mitch and to force the drop, I mean,
that was great.
To get back and grab him was really good. And I mean, he scored their try, right? I think, did he score one of the tries?
Yeah, he's the one where Tommy slapped it back in. It was just we were trying to force it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You look at the tries that they did score, right? You look at that Riddle try. He ran it in because he got given. That was really bad decision making from Finn and Tommy there, right? We gave them that try, and then obviously the Scoffer, Osefa Scott, is that the right? Osefa Scott try. They mucked up the line out, and he basically a prop caught it with 3 meters out. Oh, okay, let's try.
He's
not a normal prop, is he? He's absolutely huge. So you ain't stopping him.
So it's just like there's 2 tries there whereby it's sort of they really. What did they really do to earn those tries?
Oh no, 100%.
It's not based on their attack, is it?
And what definitely didn't.
I think that Riddle's a bit of a. Yeah, he does solid stuff. I really think he hasn't got much about him in anything else. In the nicest possible way, I think he's got a lot of development to go to get to that.
He's still a pup. So.
Yeah, he hasn't got that spark of Tommy or Bosa.
Oh no!
Top level wingers. I think there's a bit of a We will see.
They get starved of ball though, don't they? Like you've got one of the best English wingers on the other wing, and they don't really play to having that type of winger. So I don't see the point really. They don't play that, as you just said. They don't play fast attacking rugby. Like they just stick up their jumper and try and ruck and kick their way into the corner. So it seems a bit strange to have wingers like that, like Rambampo as well. He's absolute beast. So they play off of others' mistakes. That's their game plan, isn't it? Really,
it's all about pressure from them. It's all about winning territory and applying pressure, forcing opposition.
I say, also, and we know this acutely from when we lost at Welford Road. Like, if your line out doesn't work, you're almost screwed. And their line out was abysmal. Pretty much. So I reckon they won about 2 out of all the ones they had, and the 2 they did get, they almost didn't. Like, they were not clean in any way. And obviously they were. It's hard because they lost their hooker, didn't they, on 8 minutes? But I think they'd lost some lineouts before then. And then it's nothing against Dweber because with ball in hand, like, he's a big guy and he can push through. But line out wise, it was just a mess. And they were just losing possession constantly. And like you said, their attack is very different to ours, and so I'm not saying that necessarily would have changed anything, but certainly when you don't have ball in hand, you aren't going to do it. You can't physically do anything, can you? You can't get points on the board when you simply aren't winning some of the key things. And then our line out, except for one that we threw not straight, was on point pretty much the whole game. Like it had drastically improved from that Leicester game, and served us really, really well. So that definitely didn't help them. They were just losing them all over the park.
I think we said last week when we were talking about the game, Charles said about their team, they literally have 2 pods. They don't just do one, they change all 3. So to lose your hooker in, was it 8 minutes or whatever, and have to bring on the
8
other
minutes,
one, that's going to mess up because they're not used to playing with each other, are they, as well?
As a front row,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they're used to playing with the other 2. So that would have messed them up a little bit as well. And if you're trying to get a forward to do 70 minutes, that's a lot. That's a long game.
Especially a big guy like him. I mean, I think like as you said, like the success of their lineup is fundamental to how they play the game as well. And it just did not function. And there was lots of things they were doing wrong, which I think they addressed as the game went on and their lineup got better. But I also think we were brilliant as well at challenging it, the amounts. It's all well and good, saying, they didn't do this and they did. Well, actually, we got up and beat the player to the ball a few times, Because sometimes you can't do that. You can't, there's nothing you can do about that. If you have a perfectly run play, but Kemeny jumps up like Superman and flacks it back, I mean, you can't really stop him. So I think that's one of the things. I think our set piece was one of the better things that we did in the game. I thought it was excellent. Both set pieces. I thought, the line out was nigh on perfect. And the one that didn't go away, which wasn't straight, the ball probably went straight, but Kemeny actually jumped across the line and made it look bad.
Yes,
So
he did, yeah.
it's yeah, it is what it is. But then also, the scrum. I thought the scrum was brilliant. I mean, Manny Ayerdi didn't take a bow. He absolutely played Joseph Scott. He made it. He took him to places he did not want to go, and genuinely got the better of him. And to try and manipulate someone that big in a scrum is a hell of a challenge. And he just schooled him, I think.
Yep.
He really did school him. And I think on the other side, Miller Mills is, he's a funny shaped chap, and he uses it to his advantage the absolute most. And they had a really good front row, and they're a really good pack, and we generally did really well. It wasn't like a dominant piece. We weren't completely dominant or anything like that, but it could have gone completely the other way. But over the course of the game, in a real contest, we probably got the better out of most of it, and that is huge. If you can go into a set and into a game and get parity plus a bit more in a contest like that, then you're doing a great job. And
Well, exactly that, because that was the thing we worried about, weren't it? The pack.
Yeah.
We just thought their pack is so big, their back row is so big. But yeah, you're right. We didn't really get beat in many scrums. It was only when, you're listening to the ref link, he was saying, "Oh, you step back, or you step forward too early, or you engaged." It was never. We never got pushed off the scrum. Never. I don't think we not. No.
Nah.
And Manny's unlucky not to be called up. I really do think. I don't know what he needs to do now to get in the England squad, but I know there's a lot of props out there. But he has been one of the form loose heads all season, and
agreed. That was a coming of age for me. I thought in that environment, that game, to put in that level of technical performance against a really good player, really excellent. Just he deserved that, because that was quality.
Yeah, 100%.
And the things where we got a few penalties went against us for not going a bit early, or not taking the hit or whatever. That was all part of the play. They were mixing it up and making Seth Scott guess, and a number of times he got it wrong and went flat on his face. That's not luck. That's just pure propping. Properly playing the game. Just
properly propping. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like as well, like thinking about the forwards, we've got to talk about Alex Buzzcut Coles. I mean, what a performance that was! He shaved the hair. He's gone for it. I mean, some of the runs, some of the carries he put in. I mean, the guy just like you said, it doesn't even need to have pace. He's got the world's biggest stride, I reckon. So he was off like a couple of times. I thought it was fantastic from start to finish.
Did either of you go to the parade?
No.
I
had enough of crowds after that.
You are.
I'd had enough of crowds after Saturday.
It was absolutely rammed. I went. I'd had a few too many beers on the day before, so I was all right though. But Pollock was interviewed first, and he called him out on that haircut. And I forget the guy who does the announcements at the Saints now. I think I can't remember his name. Pete, that's it. He said, "Let's not talk about haircuts, shall we, Henry?" When you obviously got that blonde. But yeah, I won't say what he said as well. Pollock was a bit rude to Coles, but
funny thing is, though,
it was funny.
I think Pollock's hair is just part of his personality. Like Alex, bless him.
He looks strange.
It needs to come back. But if you're going to do that
jacket, but he delivered.
But that's what I mean. If you're going to do the haircut and you're not going to deliver, it's not great. But if you're going to do that and put that performance on the park, like I just thought, like forwards wise, I just thought that. Obviously, we're going to talk about Pollock in a minute because he was man of the match. But I thought Pearson was just a machine. That guy was
about to mention him
constantly. Yeah. It was like one of those performances that again you just think like it's almost a shame that, like England do have a lot of talent in that back row because. God, it's a shame that you don't get to see him on the international stage. But Jesus, did he put a good? It was like, honestly, like I said, I think like as a
Welsh grandmother,
yeah.
That's a bit harsh.
Because I think like as a team, like, was it?
No, it could be captain, skipper, all-time legend if he got in that.
Yeah. Like I said, was it like the best team performance that we put in? No, but there were some monster individual performances, and he's definitely up there. Like I just thought he was, because he had a time where he sort of wasn't getting picked as much, and he's definitely showed up and like this is why you should pick me, and just thought like him and, I mean, Kemeny was good, but I just think him and Pollock were like on an insane level in that back row.
Yeah, 100%. I think don't think anyone played badly at all. I think like the whole
No.
team played excellently. I don't think they were able to put their game on the pitch as well as they
Yeah,
could have
100%.
because of Exeter's brilliance in defence.
Yeah.
You know, I really you got to put. I mean, Ikatau is a beast. I mean,
I was going to bring him up. He was absolutely insane, and they're going to miss him, aren't they?
yeah. I mean, there was one bit where I felt very sorry for him in the lead up to the first Hendy try, when Ikatau is going to Jackal, get over the ball, trying to peel for the ball, and Van der Mesh just comes through and absolutely obliterates them. I mean, if he had done that to me, I would have just been dust. Like there wouldn't be anything left. That is fair play to him for surviving that clean out because it was enormous. I go back and watch the build up to the. I'm pretty sure it was one of the Hendy tries. I think it was the first, but Ikatau goes, I think I've got this ball. I'm going for it. Bosh.
Nope.
And enormous. But yeah, no, his defense was outrageous. And also Fizzle out and I mean is it Roots? Is it Ethan Roots?
Ethan Roots.
Oh my
Ethan
God,
Roots was outstanding from start to finish.
Poor
Finn, bless him.
Killed him.
Yeah, he puts it about, didn't he?
But he'd just come back from injury as well, hadn't he? So he did well to last as long as he did.
I can't think what account it was. One of the accounts posted it like with screenshots of like the hit from start to finish, and Finn Smith posted was like, "Yeah, thanks guys for pointing this out." Like he was a monster also like from start to finish. And played really really well for them. But yeah, we got. I was just saying like you brought him up, but like JJ, what a performance off the bench that was. That's
the best use of JJ.
100%, and that showed it why. Like I reckon, like, don't get me wrong, the crowd were getting excited at like everything. The noise when he broke through and starts just running off towards the line is like I've never heard a sound like that in Twickenham. I swear to God, everyone was like out of their seats, like what's happening? Like it was just and like you said, like it's got to be psychological as well as just like the physical aspect that you've been going for 60 minutes and then that guy comes on. Yeah. And you're praying to all of the gods that he's not going to run through you, and then like one of the first things he does with ball in hand is just run through all back of them.
He was smashing everybody, wasn't he? He literally was hitting at full JJ speed into whatever he could, and yeah, that was one of it. I know he's only 20 minutes, but that was one of his best performances because you imagine that 100%, they're absolutely 100%. Blowing because they're still recovering from their bath phase at the end of the field. I think that took a lot out of them. So 60 minutes in that heat, and you bring that big monster on, they're like brilliant. So I mean, It was just I was just like wow, yeah.
And sorry.
No, I was just gonna say like, not to say much. I just thought like the bench for us made a really good impact. Like I thought Dingwall came on and just settled everything because like for Lich, like absolutely love Lich. You know, there were a few mistakes. It wasn't like a vintage Lich performance. And like, I still think he's absolutely sensational. But like, you know, when he came off and Dingers came on, there was just almost like a settledness that kind of came over the team, like what he kind of brought into that team. And yeah, like I said, like JJ Chig, like the bench just, I think made a massive, massive impact. Like when they came on and really kind of helped the team get there. But oh yeah, just I love JJ. And like, yeah, he may only play like 20, 30 minutes in matches, but you know they're going to be good. And he's, you know, I think someone said before his wife Carla had like posted about, and she'd posted I think on Sunday after the game and after the parade, like just how much he's loving being here, and you can see it, right? He comes on and he's just everywhere. He's getting stuck in and everything. And you know, they talked about he kind of fell out of love with the game when he'd been in France and he came over here, and you know, it's just absolutely loving it, and that contributes to performances on the pitch. And you know, it's his first season here, and he's lifted a trophy already. You know, he was ready and raring to go in that 20 minutes, and I just thought it was sensational. Yeah, it was just considering, you know, he dropped off a little bit after he'd had the knee injury, but God, that guy was back.
Yeah, he's probably the only one that can lift the trophy above his head without struggling as well, because that thing's wincy, isn't it?
With no wincing whatsoever. Yeah,
one armed in the air. Yeah.
Because I mean, I think like that's the thing though. It's like I think Dingers and JJ had enormous impact coming on, but I don't think that's the disregard. I thought Lich, and he dropped the ball I think once, but I thought he had some amazing carries and some proper hard yards checking it up.
100%, yeah.
And then Prowse was unbelievable as well in the first. Especially the first sort of 20 minutes, he was really putting it about. And I just think that the balance not necessarily with the centres being. I don't think Dingers is an impact player. I think Dingers is a starter. Really, I don't know how they're
Yeah.
going to work it out because Hutch was also outrageously good. I thought Hutch
Hutch
was
is outrageous.
unbelievably good on that. That's the best game he's ever played in his life. I think. I think he was, and it's not necessarily what you think of Hutch with the distribution and pulling the strings and making space. It was a fact of his involvement in the game. He was just everywhere, and defensively he was outstanding. But the point being is like you can't go. Everyone played well in their own right, and
Yeah, 100%.
it
Yeah.
really did. It's sort of you don't normally get that. Sometimes you could become on here and we sort of have to skirt over a few performances because we don't want to be critical of anything like that. And sometimes we try and think out why something hasn't worked or what was the error, whatever it may be, and what caused it, whatever. But you look at that game and it's like no, everyone just played outstandingly well. Just the only issue was we Chiefs also played outstandingly
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and we couldn't get that because the main strength is the collective with Northampton. This common goal to move the ball to space, the shapes that they play. That's the best thing about them, that they couldn't do it because of how good Chiefs are. Chiefs have just it's Hayden Thomas, I think, is the defensive coach at Chiefs, and he clearly knows what he's talking about and clearly knows how to get a good defensive performance because
I mean,
it leveled up a game
yeah.
that shouldn't have been leveled up.
And we definitely got to talk about our defense as well, because I actually thought that was like probably the best defensive shift. Like, Radis is obviously on the way out. Like, what a hell of a performance to get out of your players defensively when you're about to go. Like I said, that 5 minutes, like that 71 to 76 minutes, you're right in that sort of extra, just like I said, they didn't quite have the attacking flair, but there's also a huge part of that we just didn't let them go anywhere. Like, it was like the perfect example of how to just absolutely swarm a team defensively and manage to keep your discipline. Because that's always been a question with Saints, right? It's like, are we going to stray offside? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? And usually the answer is yes. But for that 5 minutes, they were just in a, just like in a defensive zone of just like keeping them in that sort of like middle third of the pitch.
I would say the issue is, the reason you give away defensive penalties is because you're put under stress. Under stress, you give away penalties. You're desperate, so you make decisions you wouldn't normally make, and so you give away you're under stress. You give away penalties. Exeter don't really have a attacking structure to put us under any stress. So it was a really good defensive performance. Don't get me wrong; everyone did their jobs perfectly, but Chiefs' attack didn't put us under the stress that a team with a better attack would. Like I said, the try. A lot of their tries came from, other than Daffod's try, which was a really good set play essentially.
Yeah.
Off the attack and then come back against the angle. But otherwise, the try we gave them the points, or that the Sefa Scott try came from a mistake.
I would say though as well, he did drop off, but this season I think he's been outstanding. Was Henry Slade, and I didn't even notice him in that game. He literally was so out of the game and quiet. That's not going to help their attack either, because he had been, I don't know, I didn't even hear him mentioned at all.
I would say the reason you didn't see him attack, but you saw him a lot in defence.
Yeah, but that's not
his game, but he did it. He got through a shed load of work because.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying he wasn't but his attack was non-existent, which is normally what we've seen this year. He's been outstandanding.
But but I don't think they've had a particularly good attack all year. You look at their like I said, their stat is they're I think other than Newcastle, the worst team against 14 men. Right, their attack isn't about stretching people, and so that you can have extra space on the pitch, and it doesn't even help them because they don't move the ball. They just go left, right, kick, get some territory, pressure, get a try. It's all about fighting for everything, pressure, territory. And Varney is almost their best attacking threat because some of his kicking from the back is sensational. Yeah, but
Yeah. I mean,
I think that we should probably get to it, but there was a certain number 8 who played for us who we probably do you have to dedicate 10 minutes to him now, shall we? Or
10 minutes. He doesn't need any more boost to his ego, does he? Crikey. he was loving it. I think he'd had a few sherbets before, because I stayed after, because I went down on the train, So I wasn't going in the
Mhm.
big mash to get the train back. So I just waited a few hours after. So I waited by the bus, and he come out, and he was, I think he was a bit, let's say, tiddly. There,
Yeah,
it was a
probably.
good crack. I've got some videos. I'll share them with you if you want, but I'm not going to say about it on here because some of the stuff they were doing was a bit risque, let's say. But yeah, he was sensational again, and everyone that can boo him, they can say he's a big Charlie that doesn't have backup. That he backed it up again, and he just the energy. I have never seen a rugby player with a battery that can last 80 minutes of
No,
solid running. I know he's still 21, but my God, he never drops off. He picks the ball up,
No.
he runs, and like even players we've known, legends, can't last 80 minutes. He's still fresh at 80 minutes. He could probably go and run a
Yeah.
marathon. Do you know what I mean? It's
I
insane.
mean, obviously, like there's differences between like him and like the crowd because obviously like he's a top sportsman. But like, I reckon I was like absolutely done for before the game had even started. It was so hot and it was so muggy. Like the fact that he was able to keep that up for that long. Like I say that like maybe it's just hyperbolic because we won and I'm a big fan of him. But I would say like his semi-final and final performances were like the kind of performances that get you into like world class territory. Like, I think
yeah,
that's just how good he was. Like, and I think he was so close to getting the man of the match in the semi-final that I felt like that wasn't going to anyone else. I don't see how they were gonna they were gonna give that to anyone else. Like the guy was just like carries, tackles, defenders beaten, meters, like to almost top all of the stats in those areas week on week is just insanity. And I think they said, you know, he didn't do any of the like specifically, and the same with the semi-final. He didn't do the specifically flashy stuff. He just worked consistently for 80 minutes, and it just turns out that like his work is like a level above a lot of other people's. And so when you're getting him doing it for 80 minutes, and like I said, yeah, like it helps that he is just the Duracell bunny in human form. Like that guy just like even afterwards, like I was in the rubber bar when he came back and just like the energy levels he still has, and that's hours after the game is finished and the whole thing's finished. He's just yeah, and he was just all over the place, like you know, at the turnover at sort of like towards the end. You know, he just had ball in hand like all the time. And you know,
yeah.
he puts himself into the fray because he knows he's going to get big shots on him, and he got multiple of them as the game went on. He was like getting, you know, heavy hit heavily, like repeatedly, time after time, and it doesn't stop him from getting ball in hand and trying again. And that's really all you can ask for, right? Like all you can ask for is that someone's going to keep trying, keep pushing, keep pushing. It just turns out that he happened to do it at like what I think is like a world class level.
Yeah, if like I said last week, if he puts the performance he put in against Tigers on the international stage, that's world class. Like that's best in the world scenario. And if he, and the same again in the final. I mean, he draws like this weird response from fans in the sense of like he they just don't like him because of him being young and energetic and whatever, I don't know. But the old boys behind me who were Exeter fans were the most one-eyed. You know, everything was wrong. You know, everything that went for Saints was wrong. Everything went against Chiefs was wrong. And you know, just like literally 30 seconds before they announced Pollock as man of the match, they were like, "Well, Pollock was quite absent, wasn't he?" And I was just, you know, I wasn't engaging, but I was just thinking, are you
Right.
watching a different universe to me? Because
Yeah.
they, he was everywhere. He was involved in everything. Yeah. You don't get players with that level of involvement. You just don't, because it's not actually humanly possible.
Yeah.
To be that heavy in attack and that heavy in defense, and also impactful turnovers. You know,
Yeah.
line breaks. You know, meters carried through hard traffic. Yeah, outrageously good play at that point. I
Mate, try
think. I
Yeah.
sitting.
think.
I was gonna say, try sitting that end. I was sat in the Exeter end. God, yeah. I thought some of our fans were one-eyed. They're more. I can't say anything because half my family come from down in Devon, but it might be a Devonshire thing. They were more. They were so booing everything when he didn't get yellow carded, which was never a yellow card. I
It was
did
never
No.
not
anything.
understand that. That was
Like
never.
it's like we watched it back on Sunday afternoon, and like and even the commentators like from one angle it does kind of look bad, and then it swaps around, and like the commentators straight away were like, yeah, he's just going for the ball. In fact, he touches it at one point. You know, both hands are going for it. He touches it. He does. I don't even think he notices the players coming in until he sort of smashes into him. Like it's crazy to me that people that should have been carded. That's foul play. So in what, when, how, in what
Yeah,
universe? Like
that is
it's
literally the
wild to me.
definition of coming together. Like they both went to the
Yeah,
same space, and the
yeah,
referees did
yeah.
a great job there.
there's something that's like, they use the phrase that they rugby collision, and I was like, that's the textbook example of it, where a massive collision happens, but it is literally the fault of no one involved in it, like in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, no, the guy was just, yeah, it's just outrageous. And I know there's always talk of like, what will they do with him for England? Are they still going to use him as an impact sub? They're going to do whatever they do, but I still maintain that you get him on for 30 minutes, great, but you've missed out on 50 minutes of incredible play because he can do 80 as well. There's no question that he has the fitness and the stamina and the energy and the ability to go 80. So if you can get him making, all those meters, all those carries, all those tackles across 80 minutes, like you're going to end up winning more games than losing, I reckon, just having him on there with what he's able to do. And we've mentioned before, it's not even just about, they mentioned it in commentary as well, like it's not just about what he does on the pitch in terms of like his work rate, but he's like slapping players on the back when they do something great. He's geeing them up constantly. And like I feel like him and Hutch both do that. Like I still maintain that Hutch is like Saints' biggest fanboy. Like he will just, get involved, G people up, and Pollock is very much the same, And they said in commentary that everyone always talks about, oh, he's like this flashy individual, but actually when you look at him, he's like a team player to the core in terms of how much he's like there to try and bring everyone else up and get everyone else into it, not just himself. And I think they said he was like the youngest winner of that award, like that they've had, the Peter Deacon medal, like absolutely well deserved. Like I don't see how that went, and that's not diminishing anyone else's performances, but that was just out and out for me the performance of the day.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him. I hope he plays against the Springboks because you were getting all of them coming on the comments again. Oh, wait till he plays South Africa. Yeah, we'll see what he does.
Yeah,
he ain't going to change.
Yeah.
He'll run into them just as hard as he runs into anybody over here. Just wait and see.
I think one thing as well, which is like unbelievable about his game, is his pace in the close contact as well. Right. So first of all, when he's just carrying hard through the meters, etc., his ability to close the gap and win the collision, get the momentum is unbelievable because he covers that space so quickly. But he also, and I noticed it even more so against Chiefs, is he has this ability to slide on a defender. He's facing forward almost, squaring them up, but his legs are sort of running 90 degrees to his body almost.
Yeah.
And he's just sort of constantly getting outside on the outside of that man and creating overlaps outside him. And whether that's he then has the ability and the strength to get a soft edge, use his power and pace and hand off and get through, or just by creating space for someone else, by suddenly creating an overlap because he's managed to sort of move the point of attack two defenders across in the blink of an eye. You see it with Furbank when he glides and then he just has this switch of a step and he's teleported 3 meters and he's on the outside of the defense. Pollock does something very similar, but just by like squaring up the defense while sort of gliding on them as well. And that's the real sort of nuts and bolts and foundations of what he's actually doing that I think people really don't look at when they see the character and the flashiness and all of these pieces, is the actual value adding, whether it to be defense or attack, that he's bringing is enormous. Yeah, he covers the work of 10 people, but it's also those little bits and pieces where not many people can do that, and he's actually just given you a 2-man overlap on the outside, and it hasn't even made it look difficult. He is quality.
He's got to back it up as well if he's wearing pink boots as well. Do you know what I mean? If I wore pink boots to forward when I played, I'd have got my head kicked in.
Yeah, well, they all wear those boots now. I mean, Fraser Dingwall was saying that wearing black boots was village. Think back in the day, if you wore anything else, it was a bit flashy. Now it's the norm, isn't it? Yeah.
But bright pink.
The other thing too, I think we need to cover off as well, because we probably, is there any other players that we've missed that we need to mention? I mean, Furbank is the clear and obvious one, but we can come back to him.
Yeah.
But,
I think I want to mention Finn just because, like, I think even he had said it wasn't his best performance, and I would agree. But what I kind of like about him, I think what some of the coaches have said afterwards is like, what they have seen, what they've instilled into Finn is like, if you try something and it doesn't work, don't abandon it, try it again. So I think he had a couple of kick throughs that didn't work, and actually kind of did almost like the complete opposite, that it really kind of set Exeter up. But then he doesn't abandon that as a tactic. He just smartens up on when to use it. He just he can sort of evolve tactically like on the day. And yeah, like I said, I want to say it was Vesti, but I'm not 100% sure that, rather than trying to get him to just completely change the way he plays, it's like, right, that didn't work in that situation. That doesn't mean you abandon it. And then of course we see the kick through that's absolute pitch perfect for Hendy to score a try. So
It was.
I actually thought, like, yeah, was it like the absolute best we've ever seen him? No, but I do like that he's one of those that if it doesn't work, he will try again and he will do it better the next time. And that's a really important thing, I think, to have in a player, that rather than panicking and thinking, right, I've got to try and do something different, this is not working, he knows that if he bides his time, it will come off the next time, and it does inevitably.
It was Vesti. I was watching a video
Yeah,
earlier.
I did think
about
so.
him, just saying basically we don't like moan at the players, because he said you'll never get motivation from them. If they try and do a flash pass and it doesn't play off, we clap the pass and just say, just try it again next time. You won't shout at them for trying to force something. And he says that's where you get these lads to play like they're playing, because we applaud effort, not failure. Like, we won't moan at them for doing it. So
yeah. And I think it was sort of the same a bit with like McParlin, right? Like, sort of, not all of his box kicks come off, but then you get the one like setting up Fremo's try, like the kick over the top, that just, if you keep applying that pressure, eventually it's going to tell. As it turned out, the pressure for that told quite quickly, and that Freeman was able to pick it up. But like I said, it's the idea that, like, yeah, one or two might not come off, but that doesn't mean that you don't try it again. And yeah, it's a really great thing to kind of see in the team, that they have the faith and the confidence in the players, and therefore they have it in themselves. Because you feel like even just a few years ago, Finn might have completely abandoned that as an option and totally changed the way he played, like, to his detriment. Whereas, like I said, in that, he tries it again and he sets up Hendy for one of the two, essentially, tries that win us the title, right? So, yeah, like I said, I think even he had said, Finn, to be fair, in his interview afterwards, it wasn't like the best performance, but he did what he needed to do when it mattered, and that really is the key thing at the end of the day. Can you step up in those kind of like big moments when it matters, when you're behind and you need to get yourself in front? Is Finn able to do that for you? And it was a resounding yes on the day.
Yeah, I think there's a few things, like, because one is like they just keep telling them, helping them improve and giving them confidence, don't they? Right. And I think every single player to a man stepped up and performed, and that, like, they all did their part. None of them disappeared into the background. None of them were absent in any shape or form. And I think that's just because they give them that pure confidence just to go out and play and be the best that they can be. And when we interviewed Archie McParlin, if you remember back to it, we asked, like we always do, what is one of the areas where you're looking to develop and improve your game? What's working for you? And his response was my attacking kicks. And first minute of the game, whatever it was, he puts through an attacking kick and it works for him, and we score. Like, it's there's no end to their development.
Super Tommy.
Yeah. There's no end to their development, and there's no cap being put on them. There's no ceiling defined by the coaching. They're not saying to Mills, just bend over and push. Don't worry about carrying, or don't worry about going to try and score tries, or don't worry about getting over the ball and challenging, because he does it all. And that's because they don't define or pigeonhole him, or they let him go out and play, and that's the environment they built. And it's amazing.
I also think as well, like, people will have their own opinions on what, like, the coach-player relationship is meant to be like. But I think it also just really helps for someone like Vesti, in that he's just an out-and-out fan of all the people that he's coaching. Like, it isn't just that he enjoys coaching and he's a good coach. He genuinely enjoys what those players are producing. And he's mentioned before, like, I think you said, didn't you, that, like, someone had said, if it was Finn Smith, someone, that, like, oh, he's going to be even more obsessed with Lichfield now after his performance in the semi-final. Like, he's just an out-and-out fan of the players and what they can do. And so he's obviously really enjoying helping them make those improvements, identifying them, helping them get better. And I mean, yeah, like, the camaraderie in that squad is genuinely second to none. And I'd say that, like, across the world, like, there is nothing. I've never seen another. I can't think of a team that's like that, just in terms of, like, the joviality, but also the kind of respect between everyone, like, from coaching to players to all of the staff, like, that are involved. It's just and yeah, I think that
Sure.
it's brought out the best of Finn. Like, I know he mentioned his disappointment with the Lions, but it is why he was called up to the Lions and why he has been called up to England is because there have been massive improvements like in his game, and he's just going to get better. He's still young, like the rest of them, right? Like he's not reached his peak either, so it's kind of scary thinking. They mentioned Tommy having 2 titles at 25, and 25 is not the peak either. So where the hell is that guy going to end up? Like even just a couple
Yeah,
of years down the line as he continues to play, domestic and international rugby. And I'd already say he's one of those players in sort of world rugby that could probably walk into most sides, like as a winger with how good he's playing. But and I also
100%.
think
he's the best
yeah,
winger in the world. I don't even
yeah,
think it's
Easily.
questionable. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's crazy. But I also just want to mention Fischetti. Because we mentioned some of the other bench players. He came on, he got like 2 turnovers, put in massive tackles. Like I actually think that guy is so good at rugby. And
He's
he doesn't he
hilarious.
doesn't he doesn't start very often,
He,
but yeah, I think he came on and he
he,
got 2 turnovers during the time he was on, and they were like really influential and important turnovers to get. Like he just like throws himself into it, and like I just think it's so important. Like you said, that like they're developing skills that aren't considered like the traditional skill set of like someone, and I say all of that in quotations because obviously the modern game's a bit different, but I think some of the things that some of the forwards can do at Saints, like no other teams are doing. Like in terms of some of the skills that they have and what they do, like you aren't expecting like a prop to be making 2-3 turnovers a match, and yet that's what quite a few of them are doing. And some of the skills they've got with like ball in hand and stuff like that, like the talent in the squad is crazy. And I know, like I said, we're losing a couple of players as you inevitably do as you go into next season, but like the ceiling for this team is like just way up, is it, in terms of like where they can still go, considering how young they are as like a squad overall. Like it's crazy.
yeah. Problem is now you got the target back on your back, haven't you? We're the champions, so everyone's going to come and try and.
To be fair, we've
It's
we've
a
had that.
credit to beat them, isn't it? That's what I mean.
We've had that now though, because we've had that for a few years. Like, yeah, the Prem didn't go very well for us, but we got to a European final, so the target's been on our
Yeah,
back this season anyway, and we more than stepped up to it. Like, I don't. It's like you said, like the surprise wasn't us getting into the final; it was more Quins. Yes, we were eighth, but that eighth is not
Chiefs.
quite a reflection on actually. Sorry, what did I say? Quins, Chiefs,
Yeah.
Jeez. It's the heat, guys. It's the heat. It's too hot. Is that yeah, Chiefs getting to the final is more of the surprise than us, right? I still would say we've had the target on our back for the season, and yet we
Oh,
didn't lose at home. We lost 3 fixtures across the whole season and 1 draw, won all the rest. Like we're top of the league by like 6 points at the end of it. Like yeah, the
yeah.
target's going to be on our back, but I think we're sort of fairly used to that over the past couple of seasons, and yeah, I don't see that. And I think thinking about next season, like we've now got one of the top seedings for Europe, and so we're certainly going to have targets on our back in terms of how far we can get into that competition, because it's going to be a lovely favourable draw heading through. There won't be any like Bordeaux in the pool stages, for example, because you avoid those other 3 teams, don't you? The top 4 team, the champions, and Leinster, is it, in the URC champ.
Yeah.
So you get to avoid those, and then you definitely get your round of 16 and quarter at home, potentially the semi if you're one of the top 2. So Europe is definitely going to be a target for next season, and we will target it, and others will target us because we know what we're capable of. So yeah, I think the team are kind of used to that now.
Like you said, there's not many situations in any sport in the world which is like what they've built in Northampton. 70% of the squad coming out of the academy, playing together since they were year dot. That doesn't exist
Yeah,
in modern day sport. And it's crazy because that's the way it should work. And there's we're bottom 3 in spenders in the league, and by far
yeah,
the best team in it. Right, that's because there are metrics to teams that you can't put value on. You can't
yeah,
you can't put a metric on camaraderie or team spirit or willingness to put your body on the line for your teammate. You can't put a number on it, and it
no.
yeah,
comes from building a team as special as the team that they built at Northampton, which comes from growing from the academy. It's you think of, we've signed some fantastic overseas players into this squad: Kemeny, JJ, Fischetti, etc., etc. Right? You need different ideas, different people. You need all of that. You need, it adds spice to life. It adds value to the squad. But what you need at the heart of it is what they've built is a team that will go out there and put their body on the line for their group of
yeah.
mates. It's
Yeah.
still a sport at the end of the day.
I think
It's
I
still a game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I on the way home was just working out. I think if you count Finn as well, but I know he was from Worcester. I think there was 11 in the starting 15 that were academy boys. Is that right?
Yeah,
Which is
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
yeah,
It's
it
just
would.
the
It's
forwards. I mean, it
normally
was
more.
Curtis, Kemeny, Van der Mesh, and Miller Mills that wasn't that weren't. And
Yeah,
I count Finn because he was still a young lad, which is just insane considering that's come out of your academy. It's just mind blowing, and teams can only dream of doing that because
yeah,
it's technically free, isn't it? I know you got to pay them, but we haven't bought anybody in. They've come through. They start on low contracts. Problem is they're getting so good, they're going to be wanting the big bucks. That was the problem, isn't it? Trying to keep
yeah.
them.
Well, obviously, then you have to have that model of actually be willing to let players go, and we're going to
Yeah.
get on to that in 2 seconds because there's one thing I want to cover off before we get to it. What do we think to David Diamante announcing the
Oh
ground?
my god, I didn't want to mention him. He was. It's not boxing. It was the most
Yeah.
annoying thing ever. Like, come
I'll be
on,
totally
it's a
honest. I had absolutely no idea who that man was.
I don't
Never heard
either.
of him before.
That's the modern day Michael Buffer. That
Yeah.
is a voice.
I
That
don't
is
know who that is.
He's the old boy that goes, "Let's get ready to rumble." on the
Right.
boxing.
that.
No,
He's
I
the
am
new version of
not
that.
up to date.
David
I'm not
Diamante.
up
He's
to
not
date
even.
on anything.
He's the Wish version of him. He was so annoying.
Well,
I did not like him
I-
one bit. He
he
was
obviously announces all the big fights, right? And I don't know whether it was a connection with
okay.
Matchroom and
I did think that.
Pollock,
Yeah, yeah.
whether that's why they've got him in, but I don't know. I think it added a bit of drama to the whole thing.
Nah.
I mean,
I
the
didn't.
thing is though that like the atmosphere was terrible in my view, right? It was full of fans from neither club, right? Who didn't care less about the result.
Yeah.
You know, there was virtually no real chanting like you would get. Compare it to the atmosphere. Was it 7 days previously, 8 days previously?
8 days. Yeah.
The atmosphere was nothing compared
It's-
to the Gardens in the semi.
It is harder though, isn't it? Because obviously there's a majority of Saints at Saints, but like, I had 4 Quins fans next to us, and they were supporting us because I'm guessing because of Ferbs, but all the rest were Exeter. And the problem you got is Exeter don't really have a chant. They have that the Warhorn do that, and then they do
Yeah.
Exeter. It's not really a song, and it never got
Yeah.
going because I think the pods of people, like you said, people buy tickets, and a lot of bar fans were there. There was a lot of bar fans there.
A lot of Tigers
Counting
fans,
chickens before,
Tigers fans,
and them
yeah.
both counting their chickens
a
before
lot
they
of
had.
Quins fans.
I mean,
don't know why, but yeah,
Yeah,
just
I
the
saw-
location.
It's over
Just
the
the
road,
location.
isn't it?
Yeah, I saw a decent chunk of Sarah's fans as well. But I was suppose it depends kind of where you sit. Like I was in like the same block as Charles, and it was like full of Saints fans. Like it wasn't part of the Saints or at least it may have been, but I didn't buy allocation tickets. We bought them before, so it was like full of Saints fans, and where we were, the atmosphere was all right. But yeah, it's always a difficult thing, isn't it? Because the two teams don't have enough
All
of
right.
a fan
the
base to
answer.
make up the. But I would say at the end of the game, like there was green everywhere. Like Saints fans definitely outnumbered Exeter
Oh,
Chiefs
by
fans,
miles.
like by
Coming
miles.
down on the train, it was just full of green. There was
Yeah.
like even in London,
Which
it
I
was
do-
full of
That's
green.
going to be the case, isn't it? It's not going to be full of Exeter fans coming from Northampton.
No. In Euston,
No.
I said.
In
Down
Euston,
in
yeah.
Euston, getting the
Um,
train across.
It's just a difficult thing that like yeah, that's probably half full of like fans of the two teams. So you just have the natural thing of like it's hard to make, and it's a bigger stadium. It's hard to make the noise. I didn't feel any kind of way about David, whoever it was. I didn't think anything bad about it. I didn't think anything good about it. I was just like,
It's not-
okay, I don't know who you are.
It's not
I thought it was
rugby.
hilarious.
It's boxing.
Brilliant.
That's what you do at boxing. You
I
don't
was
It's
just
do
like,
barely
that.
a
yeah.
missed act that no one's ever heard of. You know, performing to a stage where they can't really get an atmosphere because they're in the middle of the pitch or something. Like I thought it was something different and something. Anyway, but
The problem is he was
bear in
delayed.
mind-
He was very delayed. Like when we were lifting the trophy, we'd already lifted the trophy, and he was like, "The champions, Northampton." So it's like we've already done it, mate. Just keep quiet.
Either way,
Info.
but this brings on to a sort of slightly different, right? The point is, I was making is, I thought I don't think the atmosphere was anything special. It was all right. It was a lot of people were having a nice, pleasant day out. Some of them probably aren't even rugby fans, right? It is what it is. It's what you get when you try and fill an 83,000 seat stadium in
Yeah.
a Premiership final. It's to be expected. But what really is worrying, I think, is like I said, you compare that to 8 days earlier when, you know, that I've probably been to thousands of rugby matches at all different levels, whether that be internationals, championship games, See, season together at Saints for 26 years, lots of away games, lots of finals, lots of semi-finals. Right, the two games that stand out for me as different levels, and I mean light years
I know
ahead,
what you're going
were
to
the
say.
two Leicester Tigers
Yeah, yeah.
semi-finals. Right,
Maybe the
atmosphere like
Munster
that.
and the Munster game, the European
Yeah, like
Munster game.
yeah. Just there's been a few, but those two specifically, like I can still hear Woods the cry when Wood went over in the corner. Like it's over a decade ago.
But
It's still ingrained in my mind, right? But the news that they've announced that they're considering or is going to happen, moving the semi-finals to neutral grounds like Liverpool and Brighton, I just
that's
can't get on board
travesty.
with it as a concept. Some kid is never going to have that experience that we've all had
Yeah,
in those semi-finals.
What's the whole point? Is what's the point of finishing first and second if you're taking
there
away the
isn't
home
one.
advantage?
Like, you will end up having, and the thing is, a lot of the criticism this year is about not the number of dead rubbers per se, but the number of sort of like massive victories like over teams, and then you just want to add, you're going to end up adding more fixtures where a team is just going to rest and rotate because it doesn't get them anything. It's a
Yeah,
waste of, and I'll be honest, like they said it's from 29 to from 2020 the 2029 to 30 season. Like the backlash has been so intense today since it was released. I'd be surprised if that is necessarily 100% still on the table in 3 years. It is going to be overwhelmingly unpopular to a crazy extent. Like,
don't think that will impact their view at all.
no,
I
no,
just
no.
honestly don't.
Like
I
if
think
they do
the
it, they
way the
do
game's
it.
gone, it's
But
it's
they are
chasing
gonna.
money,
They are.
and it thinks that by
The
putting
problem
more
is like
prize money into the top and then second and then third and then fourth will make any difference in terms of the way the players play is completely deluded. No rugby
and it's not
player is
just
going to
that.
go, we better win this game so we get the prize money for the club. Not happening. No.
No, particularly as like, is that prize money going to be more than like the lost revenue from a semi-final? Like Saints have talked about how important having knockout fixtures are at the ground because it gets
Yeah.
you like they
It's
make
2
like
million. I think it's 2 million.
they
Isn't
make
it?
like I think it's like somewhere around a million, like the amount that they make just from those, and there's no way the prize money is going to cover that amount because it never
You
does.
just get
Like
to sustainability as a club and then they change the
it,
landmark down to
100%.
it. Yeah.
Like so, yeah. I just hope it's one of
Yeah.
those things where like not necessarily that they take people's views into account, but like you can just imagine them doing it for 1 year, not selling out stadiums because no
Just to
offense,
boycott it.
I ain't traveling. I ain't traveling up to Liverpool for a semi-final when you're then going to be paying to potentially go to London the week after. Like, it's mental. People don't.
Like,
We're also still
yeah,
in case everyone had forgotten, we're still in a cost of living crisis. Like
Yeah.
the idea
Why
that people are
take
going to want to pay for that 2 weeks in
why
a row.
take the game to a non-rugby area anyway? Like that's what they're obviously trying to do to
Yeah.
get the
And let's be
literal
honest,
quote was so we can get more neutrals in the crowd. You want less neutrals.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
want
You want
less
more.
neutrals,
You
yeah.
know it's just bonkers.
And also,
The
like I
mindset's
said, if you're
crazy.
picking somewhere like, I mean, I don't know much about Liverpool, but Liverpool's got Liverpool and Everton.
Everton, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This shows how bad I am at football and how bad I am at geography. They've got two massive football teams. Like they ain't going to be switching to a different sport for a team
No.
that is
That-
potentially not
that's-
anywhere near to where they are. We
That's
don't want
exactly-
like at Twickenham, it's going to happen. You're going to have neutrals at the game because, like you said, the two clubs that get there are not going to have a combined 82,000 people to support them. So that's just the way that is. And like for one fixture, you're like, fine, At the end of the day, the
Yes.
atmosphere I think was better after the final whistle when all the other fans are cleared out and it's just Saints fans left
Yeah.
for the celebration, and the noise was huge, and that is what it is. But yeah, I don't. So in a fixture like that, you want to sell out Twickenham, and you want to get, and so neutrals are going to be an inevitable part of that. But in a semi-final, like, why would you? Who is gonna like? If I was a neutral for something, maybe I'd go and watch a final. But I've never been to see a final that doesn't have Saints in it. Like, it just doesn't interest me. I get why people do it in London, like Quins fans or Surrey's fans, because they're nearby and they're like, screw it, it's a lovely day, why not? But you aren't going to do that for a semi. You're going to do that for a semi-final because it's not even a final. Like, it's not at the next level of a final where someone's going to lift a trophy at the end of it. Like, they're amazing games, don't get me wrong, but just what a waste of time. And yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, I'm not necessarily that they'll listen to like public backlash, but it'd be interesting that if the teams really push back on this, because I can't imagine a single one of them wanting it.
It makes no sense. This is a cost as well. I know they'll probably put them up in a hotel, but logistically, you're traveling, you're going to have to go a day early because obviously you've got to travel up there. It's just makes no sense. And you're on about like neutrals playing there. Like that's why Sale and Newcastle struggle for fans because it's massive football towns and cities. like Sale, you got United and City. Obviously, Newcastle, you got Newcastle United, and why would a Liverpool fan, like you said, Everton fan, want to go and watch Saints versus, I don't know, Bristol in a semi-final of a rugby match? They don't even know what rugby is. Some of them, it's not going to work. And if it does, I just think everyone should boycott it, so they have to end up making a loss.
You're never going to boycott it, semi-final
No.
with your team in it, but
I'll
you're
still
not going to
bloody be
get
there, but
you're
that's
not
the
going to
point.
get the fans in a town who don't go every week go.
No.
You know,
No.
Northampton this year different, right? We've sold out every ground, every game. The team is very good. The fan base is there. If a smaller team go on a run, say I don't know, Saracens, right, go on a run, and they're back at the top again, and they don't sell out their ground every week. For a semi-final, they would, but the people who fill up the ground for the semi-final, locals, aren't going to go to Liverpool. They wouldn't even go to Coventry to watch their team in the European semi-final. If you remember,
right.
they took like 4 fans to Coventry, and it's down
Yeah.
the road. Like so,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
brain dead. But
Stupidest
anyway,
idea ever, because
It
that
is
is the
brilliant.
whole point of finishing first and second. You get a home semi, and that's why there was so much to go for on the last day of the season. Those teams were fighting to try and get second place. We'd already confirmed first, so it's
And it's just-
absolutely ludicrous to even
It feels-
contemplate it.
It feels short-sighted as well in the way of like, yeah, you might get some immediate money in the first couple of years in terms of like the revenue for taking the semi-final there, and like the tickets obviously being probably super expensive. But like it's at the detriment of the clubs. Like if it keeps going and clubs end up losing out on money, and obviously worst case scenario, more clubs disappear, you're going to end up in a situation where you may not even have a semi-final because there's no, hopefully that never happens, and clubs are sustainable enough to keep going. But for a lot of those clubs, Saints included, like that sustainability is on a precipice. Like it's not like a set in stone level of sustain for any of these clubs. Even thinking about Bath, they're about to pump so much money into like redoing their ground, so we don't know what situation they're going to be in. Like, yeah, they've got a rich backer, so it's maybe a bit
They've got
different.
2
But
billionaires
like,
supporting them, so they're fine.
but across all of the, I mean, there was even some. We thought we were going to lose more clubs at one point, didn't we? Like it's really precarious for a lot of them, and eventually you're going to end up with such a small league because you're taking all this revenue away from them that the whole thing just gets diluted. Now, obviously, I'm thinking like worst case scenario.
you're taking
Something I
revenue
don't.
away from the successful teams and giving it across the board, aren't you? Because the semi-finals would essentially be all the money generated after you've paid to rent a big football stadium and pay for the stewarding and policing and all that sort of stuff. Any profit from it would go to the Prem, which would then be distributed across all the teams. So you're I don't know, Red Bulls who finished bottom of the league, and then suddenly your income's gone up because you're now getting a pie of the semi-finals. But I don't like the concept. It's a celebration of rugby. It's not. It's a competition, right?
Yeah,
It's a sporting contest to find out who the best team is, and by trying to use it as an advertising for the league or whatever is just wrong. Put value back into the actual sport. Anyway, I think we've gone on about it. I just want it just boiled my blood. Like we've just had this amazing win, and then it reminds you how stupid the organisations are that are running the sport and how devoid they are from common sense. But anyway,
you saw those 2 semi-finals. They were epic matches. You put them in neutral stadiums, they're nothing like that at all. You would not have got that atmosphere in Anfield that you would have got at the Gardens, because half the Saints fans won't travel.
And that's what they don't seem to understand. I'm guessing the people who maybe they did turn up, I don't know, but I'm guessing based on this decision making that they weren't at the Gardens for the semi-final. They didn't realise the level of the atmosphere and the reason that drives the performance. And like you said, if you put that in a neutral ground, you don't get the same performance. You just had a final where the performances weren't good, really, not to the standards that the team, Saints could do. Yes, it was Exeter, but how much of that is also because you're in this massive stadium and stuff like that? But let's get back to and finish on a positive/negative. What a man! What a legend of the club! What a performance again. The last month or so, he's really shown us what we're going to be missing. Ferbs is just outstanding.
Oh, gorgeous George, man! What a player! And it's just that I don't know whether it would have influenced the decision when he wasn't he injured when the contract talks were. Yeah, so that might have influenced it. But we were talking about it at the parade, trying to say, like, should we just get a crowd fund and go around and get a couple of quid off everyone, see if we can buy him out of his contract? Because yeah, we are going to miss that boy, and the pure pleasure on his face, because I was at the coach when he come out. He come out with no top on, and he had two cans of beer, and he shook it all over us, and he was so happy. It was so good to see. It's going to be hard seeing him in a Quinn shirt, but yeah, 10 years, what a legend. And he goes out like Courtney did, like Waller did, like a legend.
Lewis.
And Lewis, bloody how did I forget the GOAT? Sorry, Courtney. But yeah,
No, Lewis, Ludlam as well.
Ludlam as well, yeah.
I mean, that like players that have played so many years going out on a win, just bookend his career, didn't it? Absolutely
it's strange though, isn't it, that he's not bookending his career. He's bookending his career at Northampton, but he's going to be in a Quins jersey. It's one of those ones where I think like it's the model that Saints deploy in its most extreme version, where you've got a player who is England's best fullback playing some outrageously good rugby. He's come through the academy. He is one of our own. He's sensational, but they're not going to give him longer than a year because they don't want him standing in the way of someone like James Pater, who could be the next best thing ever in that, and they just have that model of they've got to back the development and back it and keep churning the talent out. And to be fair, they have. The only one that went and we didn't replace internally was Courtney, and to be honest, Courtney went purely because we were nowhere near being able to compete money wise. But every other player that's left, Moon, Big Ed Prowse steps up, what a man. Trying to think, the players that have left, Reinach, they let Reinach go. Mitchell becomes a Lion. Obviously Laws has gone, and we didn't really replace him internally. We signed Kemeny. They backed their recruitment to replace a world-class player. It's throughout. Waller goes, Iogan steps up. Everywhere in the side, they've done that, haven't they? They've made those decisions. The amount of talent that we've lost over the last decade, every year we lose our best player because they just commit to producing more.
I agree,
as well. I do agree, but sorry, Jess, but those ones you've just mentioned, apart from Ludlam, were all mid-30s. George isn't even 30 yet, I don't think. He's 29, isn't he? Or has he just hit 30?
I think he might have just, but Ribbons left, upsets Coles.
That was obviously
Lewis left. Lewis leaves. Look who stepped into the number 7 jersey with Lewis leaving.
Yeah. But I mean, like, George isn't at the end of his career, is he? Like Courtney, still absolute worldie, but he was 35. Waller was 33. You could have given him 2 years at least.
Yeah, but it's not about
the sweetener.
It's not about him where he's in his career. It's where the next cab off the rank is in their career.
But Pater's 2 or 3 years off. He's
played Premiership rugby, looked outstanding.
The one thing we're missing as well is it isn't just about who's next off the rank. It's also who else are you fighting to keep. They've made it very clear that they want Freeman and Pollock to stay. And this is not me saying this is not like a reflection on Ferbs at all, but like if it's like you've got to lose one of those 3, I'm probably still picking Ferbs because of the age and how much you're getting out of the other 2. Like Freeman and Pollock are world class, and like we're gonna, if we can keep Pollock, that could potentially be a decade more that we keep that guy for. Like Freeman's probably not far off that length of time, and like I think it hit the news this week that, I mean, it's from Neil Fissler, so sometimes it's iffy, but that it looks like we have locked Freemo in to extend his contract, right? Like, yes, it sucks that Ferbs has to go, but it was a combination, instead of like the next cab off the rank timing, like when the offer had to be tabled, like he had been injured repeatedly, and there were all different injuries, right? He'd had the arm, both of his calves, he'd had some head knocks. Like, Quins have offered him 3 years, which I actually think is mental, because yes, he's playing amazing rugby, but I don't know if you can actually say 100% that you can get 3 years out of him with his injury profile. Like, I still feel like it's an unknown even now. Like, hopefully, I still want him to play for as long as he possibly can, because I think he's a great player. But you take the timing into account, who else you're trying to keep, the fact they're trying to balance the books, they've made it clear that they still don't intend to go all the way up to the cap for sustainability reasons. Like, all of it comes together. Yes, it's a great player that's leaving, but it's just one of those that you just sort of have to take it. And
Yeah.
I still think we'll come out of the other side all right.
Yeah,
I
But
but
it,
do
it was
get it.
interesting. It was
let's
it was interesting that O'Driscoll did say, to be fair, in his interview, said it's a really strange thing because he clearly doesn't want to leave. The club clearly don't want him to leave, and Quinn's probably know this. Like they're taking a player in that in pretty much any other circumstance would never have even thought beyond the initial sort of, oh, here's the offer of ever going there. And he said it
Like,
is such a strange situation of a player that is clearly doesn't want to leave, but it's just all of those different factors have all come together at like the wrong time essentially to make
my
it sort of
only
be the thing that happens.
my only issue with it is we haven't got a replacement for him because we're losing. If Rambo was staying for another year, I'd think right. Rambo can play fullback, bring Pater through. Then the season after, he may be ready. But we're going to
I
be
think that's
unless they've
again
got someone in, they're coming we don't know about. I just think we are so light at fullback unless you play Fremo there. But then you lose him
it's
on the wing.
again it's again timing though, isn't it? I don't think they were expecting Rambo to go. He would have been the natural sort of probably progression. I don't think they were expecting that to happen so soon. So see like him choosing to leave like pretty much after Ferbs has signed the contract. Like I said, it's just the timing of sort of like everything coming
Mm.
together. I still think we've got some people in there. You know, they even mentioned like Tadaro. Apparently, 15's his preferred position, and he's played that quite a lot of times. You've got your Hendy, you've got Freeman if you need it, you've got Pater coming up. Like, are we necessarily going to be there next season? Not necessarily, but the season after, I've got confidence that one of those guys will have pushed through to be a regular good starter in that position. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't suck.
yeah,
But
let's move away
I'm
from the
I'm trying to
discussion
see
around.
I'm trying to see the good side of where this team still definitely has the ability to get to.
Yeah, let's look away from like where they're going, what the team is, let the rationale which we've discussed a million times as to why it's happening, etc. And just think, you know, what a player. You know, whilst yeah,
Yeah,
injuries, which you said, when we needed him the last month or so, he's demonstrated what a world class talent that boy is, what a Saints legend he is, and
yeah,
I mean, like he goes out, as Simon said, at the highest of the highs as captain of Northampton Saints, carrying the trophy off into the sunset. Like,
yep,
what a story! You know, he's been a hell
Better,
of a
yeah,
mate.
player for us. And
It's
there's
got to
just
be.
that thing about like Ludlam had it as well, where and Laws obviously had it, but there's just something special. Like you can't put words to it, whatever. There's like, you know, with Ludlam, it was a case of you knew he had zero quit in him. He would run his blood to stone to play for you, and he had this
yeah,
special quality. Ferbs has the exact same sort of special quality, but it's on a case of like bravery and vision and willingness to just attack and maintain the DNA of the club. You know, he's just he embodies what we've done over the last year in the sense of go out and put Northampton on a pitch, and like he is that embodiment of it a bit. He there's
yeah,
just something special, and it pains, but it's also special, isn't it? Because we've witnessed it, we've experienced having a player of that quality in the side for so long.
Yeah,
yeah,
you will
yeah,
be
exactly.
missed. I do
And
get
it's
it. I do get it. It's just annoying because normally it's sort of like, oh, there's someone coming through, but I don't think we've got that person yet. No, not confirmed anyway. So I
but then
think
that's
we'll
you know
we'll we'll
that's
struggle there next year. But hey, we've got
it's
so
it's
much
also
talent.
it's also like I said, it's like the cyclical nature of sport, right? Like you get peaks and troughs, and that's not just as an overall team, but it's also individuals going and how long it takes. But like I said, it's the perfect ending at the end of the day. Like you couldn't script it any better. Like his last act as a Saintsman to be lifting that trophy up on the pitch at Twickers, like it literally doesn't get better than that. Like I think it would have felt even more sour like if that hadn't have happened. Like it makes me feel a bit better about it that he gets a second title, because this is no reflection on Quins, but I question their ability to get one over the next few seasons. Like they've got a lot of development left to do. Like they might pull an Exeter and surprise us all, who knows? But I feel glad that he was able to lift that trophy as a Statesman before he does move on. So at least he's got that second title. Like I said, did it as captain as well. So he was the one
You
getting to lift that up above his head.
you know you know even though we didn't play to our peak, that is going to be on the back of all of those lads' minds. We know that we've heard them say that, so that's going to push them on as well. Knowing they all wanted to do it for Ferbs. Like literally, when they came out, the team burst. It was Freeman, Finn, Pollock, and another. I can't remember who it was. And they were singing "Walking in a Fur Bank Wonderland," and they were just singing it to him while he was dancing. and because he was absolutely buzzing because that's all he wanted, just to send him off like we did 2 years ago with those other legends. That's motivation. Even if you play the awful game, they're going to go back in that dressing room and go, "We're doing this for Ferbs. We're doing this for Ferbs. We've got to do this for Ferbs," and they did. So, yeah, we wish him well. Not when he plays against us, obviously, but yeah, hope he does well and he does all right, wins.
It makes you think who's going to be the legend next year that spurs them on to who's going to leave and spur them on to a title. But we shall see. Anyway, we've obviously gone over quite a bit there and been a long episode, but it was always going to be a long episode after.
We're champions.
One more thing.
We're champions.
One more thing. What about who got the point from the final?
Oh yeah,
Not
good
me.
point. Sorry. Sorry about that. I'll have to,
It's the same thing. It's the same thing in the semi-final. Pollock did everything but the one thing I needed him to do.
I think Freeman. I can't even remember who I said.
You have to remind me what the score was again.
26-17.
26-17 was the score, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
So a 9-point swing.
Yeah, so Jess won because Jess got the margin correct. So Jess won that round.
What about the try scorer?
You got the try scorer, but that's only worth 1 point.
The margin's worth.
Oh, win the margin. Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't even remember that. I only focused on try scorers. I was like, Pollock did everything else.
That's why I asked. I shouldn't have asked, should I? I should have kept quiet.
No, kept quiet.
In the first minute. So I was like,
it's worth raising because well done, Simon. You won the season.
You won the season, yeah.
Well, I mean, last year I was awful, so I have to do something.
It might even be a complete reverse order of last year, to be honest. I think I won last year quite well, and then you finished bottom, so I think it might be a complete reverse order for this year.
And I'm just classic middle of the road.
Well, it might be your turn next year. Who knows? But anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. It's been another, like I say, a longer conversation, but that's because it warranted. It was an unbelievable experience and another great year being a Northampton Saints fan. But thanks for listening. I've been Charles. Simon's been Simon. Jess has been Jess. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.